Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hello, you're listening to the podcast, So There I Was. It's how all great aviation tales begin. This is episode 120 weeks. But we're going to go back to Lawman. Well, Fig and I are taking a couple weeks off from broadcasting. We decided to rerun two shows in their entirety. Last week's show was You're Going to Have to Talk Me Out, as you well know. And then this week's show is one of our favorites from spending our time with Lawman, who is a former Harrier pilot, A4 pilot, F-18 Hornet pilot with the Blue Angels, and former highway patrolman with the Arizona State Patrol, which is how he got his call sign. But you'll hear a whole bunch of his amazing tales in this week's show, and we'll be back live with you next week. Looking forward to it. In the meantime, please share the show, and before launch, don't sit on the ejection seat handle.
He comes around in a really tight pattern, really nice, lands it probably 150 away, aero brakes it, a little bit. But I think Tower asked if he could make the very first left turnoff, expedite getting off the runway. And he jumped on the brakes really hard and immediately blew his left main mount. You got to be kidding me. Just blew a tire in front of the whole ready room. He opens the canopy and he knows where we're at. And he knows all these guys are probably looking out the window at him. And he keys to Mike, ready room loudspeaker was on, and he looks right at us. He goes, "How am I doing so far?"
You're listening to the podcast, So There I Was. That's how every great aviation tale begins. This is episode 28.
28? What?
Can you believe it? Yeah.
28?
Yeah. This is going to air on Thanksgiving Day, 24 November 2022.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the title of this show, Fig, is The Boss is Hammond.
Boss is Hammond.
Hammond, H-A-M-N.
Join on him because he's Hammond.
I don't even think he's blinking at this point. Wrong, So, Fig, what else did Lawman talk about?
One of the parts that actually surprised me, he says the worst part about being a Blue Angel.
Why? I mean, I don't get it, but he tells us. And you know what? Once he said so, it kind of made sense.
Oh, absolutely. Stressful.
Yeah.
Talk about perfection. Every single moment is perfection.
Right.
That's what you're striving for.
The goal is perfection, and the standard is nothing less than excellence. So we have actually brought Lawman on for this intro with us, and there's a reason for that. He felt like he was maybe in the debrief or something. It was a little too critical, but you were alone as a new guy. Yeah, you were the new guy all by yourself, and so you got the focus of all the attention, and you talk about that in the show. So in retrospect, tell us about it. What is your retrospective of being on the team?
Again, glad to be here with you two gentlemen. Again, thanks for having me back. Kind of put a little bit of perspective back. And I did share some, they'll hear it, I guess, some of the trials and tribulations of being a Blue Angel pilot, especially a new wingman with experienced diamond guys all around you. And the focus and the camera's always on you. But I hope I can take away some of the mystique. There is some mystique about the Blue Angels. But there really is no mystique. The truth is just a bunch of knuckleheads in the fleet. Got lucky, got picked up like me. But very devoted professionals working every day, like Fig mentioned. Every single maneuver, every day, striving for perfection. That was the goal for the whole team, and you got lucky to be a part of that. So I'm very fortunate, of course, to have been selected. I do want to thank the 1993 team, the guys that picked me. With the other highly qualified applicants, Boss, Rug Dance, and Ripper, Fudge, Snooze, Dino, Hoops, Surge, Timber. All the other guys on the team that gave me a chance, had the confidence to say, "Hey, Lawman, we think we can train you to do this, and you can be a part of this team, be productive, and help the team accomplish their missions." I really do appreciate the team having the confidence and selecting me. And then, but like I said before, being selected is one thing, and then strapping on the jet and going out there and doing the maneuvers is a whole different thing. That's where the art and science of being a Blue Angel. So you get picked, and then you gotta, now you gotta fly to that standard, and they don't lower the standard for anybody. And if you don't make the standard, which is perfection, and no one's going to be perfect, so you're going to hear about it. You're going to get beat up in very critical debriefs every single day, every maneuver, everything you do, and not just the pilots, the enlisted troops, everybody on the team, every wrench turner, the guy cleaning the swabbing the hawse. Everything is, the goal is perfection. The entire team, probably the hardest working team in the world, in my opinion, to be honest with you, across the board. Totally devoted to the mission. I'm not kidding.
That's amazing. But, I tend to believe that just because you don't put a product out like the Blue Angels do if
No,
everything behind the scenes isn't perfect.
Yeah, so the goal is perfection in everything they do, every single task, every maneuver, everything, the maintenance, everything, the support crew. Because the goal is to put on the very best flight demonstration in the world. That's the goal. Every practice show, air show, it doesn't matter if you're flying in front of 4 people or 800,000. It's the same maneuvers, same level. If you're not perfect, you're going to hear about it. And that's just the way it is. And, the truth is, if you strive for perfection, I don't care what Blue Angels, anything you do in life, if you strive for perfection, you will at least be very, very good at a minimum, right? Sound right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you won't get complacent. And so an offshoot, a byproduct of perfection is safety in aviation. If you're really striving to be perfect, you're probably going to at least be very safe, and that's a good thing when you're flying jets like that. So you're gonna hear a lot about my 1994 teammates. My first year as a new guy, which is Boss Ripper, Snooze, Hoops Timber, and those guys who were with me, and mostly about Dino. And I tell you, Dino, I love that guy. He was both my the instructor, my mentor, and my tormentor.
Right.
All rolled into one.
Mentor and
because
tormentor.
the truth is, it's by position. He was a slot pilot, and the slot pilot is in the best position underneath the boss to both be the safety pilot for the Diamond and the Delta, and to help the boss be safe and back him up on some mostly just sugar calls, like a little more pull or like the bottom, to maybe help.
Kind of like the catcher. He's kind of like the catcher on a baseball team, man. And he sees everything. He's got best field of view of the whole team.
Yeah, second or third year guy. He's got great, tremendous SA. Like his aperture's opened up, and he's looking a lot more at other people. And I was lucky enough to have Dino, I think, who was really an excellent instructor, but he helped me to a standard. And if I didn't make it, I was going to hear about it. And Dino pushed me. Along with Snooze, Boss Stump, and other guys, pushed me into being a good right wingman, where I put my jet where it's supposed to be every single time to be predictable. And so the trust. So these guys have to trust you, and you have to develop that trust and earn that trust. They're going to put their jet, all those guys, inches or feet away from you and roll in the loop, knowing that Lawman, whoever's flying that number 2 jet, number 3 jet, doesn't matter. That jet's going to be where it's supposed to be, or you're going to clear properly. That was the whole thing. So those guys, they pushed me into making the standard, and I appreciate that. And all the troops, everybody who turned the wrench, gave me a perfect jet every day. All the support crews, the Fat Albert guys, everybody in that team, admin, you name it, they all made me successful. Nobody cares about Ben Hancock. Nobody cares.
I feel like I should be standing at attention right now.
Right?
No, I'm serious. Yeah. No, and the truth is, I tell people later on, nobody cares who Ben Hancock was. I was the number 2, the right wingman, 1994, 1995. All they care about is I was a Blue Angel, and I did my job, hopefully, with the support of the team, put my jet where it's supposed to be. And then I was fortunate enough to leave in good standing and become an ex, and the goal, become an ex-Blue Angel. Yeah.
There's a portion of the upcoming interview entitled "You Were a Spectator."
Here you go. And I was.
Whoops.
What time I was.
It's a great story. It's a great story.
There you go. You guys can tell that one. I'll let it go with that. If there's nothing else I can add, but I just do want to thank you guys for letting me kind of clarify that it was hell for a while, but it was really a privilege to be even associated with those guys and what they do and the history of the team.
Well, man, I think that comes through loud and clear in your interview, buddy. I mean,
appreciate
loud and
it.
clear. Yeah.
Thanks very much. All right.
Yeah. Ditto. And then I will mention that this show gets a little bit disjointed because we talk about some Blue Angel stuff and then we go back into some fleet stuff. And there are 2 hours left with Lawman, this one and the next one. And the last hour with Lawman goes back into some Blue stuff again. That's because we recorded this over 2 different sessions, and it became impossible to keep pulling things out of the second session, put them into the first, and vice versa. That all being said and done, it is a little bit disjointed, so we move out of the Blues and we move into some fleet stuff. There will be more Blues stuff to follow in our last hour with him. So I did want to say that, but one of the funny things he talks about goes back to this fleet and his time at Willow Grove, and that's a segment called "How Am I Doing So Far?" And it's similar to the Blues.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
In order to get into a reserve squadron, similar to the Blues, you have to rush it. You don't just get picked or get orders. You have to show up and be well liked. Russ Chairman, damn glad to meet you. How am I doing so far? So,
how am I doing so far?
Yeah.
It's a great interview.
Yeah.
You guys are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it half as much as we did because we're having a ball. With that being said, it's time to strap in. Make sure you're not sitting on the ejection hand.
Don't sit on it.
And enjoy show 28. So there I was.
They say that I look pretty in my fitted red flight suit. They say I am a rock star, but the point is probably moot. 'Cause I'm sick of all the bullshit that kills the joy of flight. Most of all, I'm sick and fucking tired of looking right. I'm looking right, I'm always looking right. When I'm flying fucking fingertip, I'm always looking right. The crowd goes wild, the formation's tight.
So I show up on my very first day. Now I'm allowed to wear the suit. So I actually can walk into the squadron with the Blue Angel flight suit, no staples in it, you know.
Well, that was nice of them.
Did you leave the house? Hey, did you leave the house with it on, or did you put it on when you got there?
No, you leave the house. You put it on and drive to work that way. That's the way most.
Yeah,
that's
it's
way,
just like wearing your bag.
Yeah, same thing. You know, put your bag on when you typically leave house and go drive to work, right? Show up at the squadron and go fly and work.
Now, is that Nomex? Is that made out of Nomex?
It was Nomex, yeah, but they cut it from the same bolt to cloth. So each year, each pilot gets 4 brand new flight suits cut from the same exact bolt to cloth, so the exact same hue. The attention to detail in the Blue Angels, even that is unbelievable. The attention to detail, the striving for perfection, everything they do. Then you use your last year's suits if you're an old guy for practice shows, and you only wear that flight suit once. You never wear the same flight suit 2 days in a row, never. And they're all dry cleaned.
Okay.
It's all taken care of, man. They really take care of business. So I show up day one, Monday morning, in the ready room, and it's a diamond brief because we're going to initially train 1 and 2, 3 and 4 fly together, 5 and 6, and then we'll put the diamond together, and then we'll put the delta together, and then we'll transit Del Central, and then we'll do 2 a days. So initially, but it's a diamond brief. And Dino's running the brief essentially. He goes, all right, Lawman. He goes, welcome to the team. He goes, you asked for this job. You got it. We picked you, but now you got to perform. And so the very first thing they show me was archives of Blue Angels crashing. All different types of airplanes. They had every practice show, and every show has been videotaped or filmed over the years, over decades.
Yes.
I saw A4s, F-11s, Phantoms, Hornet mishaps. They showed me a lot of it for a reason, I think, and it made sense. This is what you make a big mistake with the Blue Angels. It can be catastrophic, especially with the ground or hitting each other.
Yeah.
Here are some of the things that guys have done, and not disparaging former Blue Angels or those who were killed, even, but here's what happens when you have a bad day with the balloons. You really have to be completely focused, tremendous concentration, and really be open to learning and critique and criticism and being honest with the debriefs and your mistakes, and then chipping away and just getting better and better. But a major mistake in the Blue Angels can be fatal. In fact, at that time, up through when the Marine captain was killed in Smyrna, Tennessee, it's about a 10% fatality rate historically on the Blue Angels. So historically, since 1946, about 1 out of 10 have been killed, and about half of those have been solo pilots, other half diamond. So really, much worse, I think, if I got my numbers right, more fatal solo pilots than diamond guys, but about a 10%. So it's unforgiving. And if they might love you, but if you don't hack it, they'll love you. They'll try to make you successful, of course, but you'll fire you. And that's happened before too. I knew that happened to other guys. So my first morning wasn't about motivational stuff. It was mishap videos. This is what can happen to you if you don't have your shit together procedurally, and they're very strict about your procedures. And the last Marine, number 2, they showed me his crash video with boss. I won't say the last name, but it was a boss of one of the admiral. He hit the boss on the fan brake about the 3rd week of winter training in El Centro, California. Ooh. And that's a tight maneuver, very tight. And number 2 sets it. And all you're flying on the fan brake is there's a cigarette stripe. There's a yellow stripe. If you look really closely at the leading edge extension on boss's right side of his airplane, on the blue paint, you'll see a yellow stripe about the size of a cigarette. And we call it the cigarette stripe. And you as number two, boss will be in his angle of bank for the fan, and you step up and you put that cigarette stripe in the crotch of his canopy bowl and canopy rail, and you hold that stripe, and then you step up and look at 1 inch to 1.5 inches of black canopy rail inside a boss's jet. So you put that cigarette stripe in the crotch of the canopy and about 1 inch of black canopy rail, and then you hold still and say, hey, Lawman. At that point, boss is what they call Hammond. I learned that for the first time when I learned the fan brake, and they go, what's Hammond? Hammond means he ain't moving nothing. So once Hammond, boss is Hammond, which means if he's Hammond, you should be Hammond. So that 3 and 4 can fly off of you, an echelon, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So they would say, it's that simple, Lawman. Just put the cigarette stripe there and hold still, goddammit, and don't move. So 3 and 4 can fly off of you. They're flying helmets,
Yeah, because they're cracking the whip if there's any movement, right? Yeah.
So they showed me this video of this previous Marine, who's a great guy, former Phantom Hornet guy, who was having a bad day, and he 3 and 4 could see it coming. Chase calls clear. You got to call clear. So if you're an echelon, you just don't bail out, save yourself. Move your jet to get away from boss's jet or some other jet. You have to call clear, smoke off, and then you wait. If you're in Delta or Diamond or Echelon, anybody on your wing, and you had to give them a chance to get their own piece of airspace. Everybody has a piece of airspace, no matter what we're doing, any maneuver that you own, and nobody else is vying for your piece of sky as you're still flying off of the boss. Boss is still your gyro. So Chase is clear. He's got to wait. He's supposed to wait for 4 to clear, 3 to clear. Then you move your jet. And if you have to, you eat some paint. They encourage you, hey, if you have to wait, eat some paint. So
now, just for listeners, when they say you guys swap paint, you bump each other.
Yeah, we did.
Fairly often.
I swapped. You try and avoid it. I did. I swapped paint twice. I kissed my boss twice my first year. Swap paint. There's different stories in that, but so Chase number 2 is boss is his job is once he's in a maneuver is fly the maneuver, be predictable for everybody else,
right?
No matter what's happening. And boss is doing a great job. It's like walking through the park. He's getting hit by the number 2 jet. So number 2 comes out with wings. We call it wings. He's using aileron instinctively to get away from the boss's jet because you want to get away on the right side. So he puts some aileron in, which you would normally want to do to get away from the guy on your left side. But if you do that, your wing overlap is so great, you're going to hit him every time. So his left wingtip is hitting boss's right horizontal stabilator. And boss, if I get this right, boss's jet, he's holding still. So he's holding the number 2 jet in place. And when the number 2 jet starts to roll over the top of boss's jet with right stick and right rudder by the pilot in the 2 jet, and he sees the top of boss's jet, he pulls the handle and ejects. So he ejects. The airplane immediately, because the spring will pull up to almost negative 2 Gs. You let go of that stick, that spring force pulls the jet. It doesn't seek 1 G like a normal gray F-18 in the fleet. It'll almost negative 2 Gs. So the jet immediately clears the boss's jet and flies in the ground. Huge fireball. You hear the seat beacon going off. Knock it off, boss, knock it off. 3 knock it off, 4 knock it off. Because number 2's in a parachute. He can't call knock it off. And he lands and they pick him up and he's not hurt, thankfully. Probably a little beat up and they dust him off and brush him off and they do a debrief and all that. And they paint his name on a new number 2 jet. All right, don't do that again.
Wow.
I tell you what, if that had happened to me my 3rd week of winter training, I don't think I could have been successful either. And this guy, I think, I'm not disparaging him at all. I haven't been there and struggled.
That'll get your attention, I would think, at a minimum.
He some self-doubt or just you start to flinch a little bit. And if you flinch in the Blue Angel, especially as a diamond pilot, you're allowed to flinch once or twice maybe, where you flinch in the other jets without being predictable and making the proper clear and getting other guys a chance to get away from your jet. If you do that more than twice, maybe even a big flinch once, you're done. I can't trust you anymore, or they can't trust me, and you got to go away.
Yeah.
And they love you, but it makes sense, right? A lot of trust. Mm-hmm. So they cut him loose and brought back a Navy pilot to fly that jet for the rest of the year. And so the point being is that I'm the first Marine back in the Diamond now, because Thumper went 7.65, narrator, a Posen solo, lead solo. And Thumper was a maniac, man. He was I think he broke a lot of jets, put it that way. He broke a lot of blue jets with G's and hitting runway lights and stuff. Thumper was even for balloons, the Thumper was super aggressive. But he was a great solo pilot, but he was a solo pilot, 7.65. Then they hired me. So I'm the first Marine back in the Diamond. And they go, and it was kind of that Navy Marine Corps, good nature, but somewhat, not so good natured all the time. I love those guys.
You squids.
Hey, okay, Lawman, here's the thing. So day one, they go, let's see if you have what it takes. If you had the balls to be a diamond pilot, because the last Marine couldn't hack it. That's what
shit. They threw the gauntlet, right?
Yeah, they did. All right, Lawman, let's see if you have what it takes. So I go, man, here we go. Shit, this is a great start. And then Dino's drinking a cup of coffee. He goes, the kind of concentration you need to be a Blue Angel pilot it's like metal bending focus, move an object with your brain kind of stuff. Then he lays his spoon on the table and goes, all right, oh man, I want you to move that spoon with your brain, with your mind. I go, what? He goes, move that spoon. So, of course the spoon's not moving. He goes, God damn it, we'll work on that. But he goes, he said, the point I'm making is it takes tremendous focus. And if you make a mistake, you got to flush it, put it behind you, move on. Because we have another maneuver, then another maneuver. You can't dwell. We'll talk about it afterwards. He goes, let me ask you this, Lawman. He goes, he said, you know what the worst thing about being a Blue Angel is? And I get the boss and 3 and 4 looking at me. I don't know. I said, being on the road, you're on the road a lot. Because you're on the road about 310 days a year as a Blue Angel, roughly. He goes, no, it's easy. We live in nice hotels. We get nice rental cars or courtesy cars, getting taken well care of. He goes, it's predictable. You're not on the ship. You're not in a tent. It's a pretty easy life. He goes, it's not it. I go, what? He goes, it's the flying. I go, what? He goes, yeah, you have no idea what you signed up for. You're going to find out starting today just how difficult mentally and physically flying is. He goes, that's the hardest part about this job is the flying. I'm thinking, shit. All right. He goes, you know what the best thing about being a Blue Angel is? This is a third year Blue Angel pilot asked me this question. A third year guy. To me, he's a god, right?
Yeah.
Plus he's 6'4". He's a very imposing figure.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, Dino. Yeah, man. He's a great guy, but he could be imposing as a new guy, right?
So what was the best thing?
He said, I said, I'm guessing, meeting people, going on the road. He goes, oh, that's all great stuff. He goes, Lawman. He goes, no, the best thing about being a Blue Angel, and he wasn't kidding. He goes, is being an ex-Blue Angel. I go, what? He goes, your goal starting today is to survive your time on this team, these 2 years, not kill yourself, not kill a squadron mate, not kill a spectator. Don't embarrass the Navy, the Marine Corps, or the Blue Angels, or your community, and walk away in 2 years in good standing, having put your jet where it's supposed to be every day, and be an ex-Blue Angel. Come to briefs and debriefs, as an old guy with gray hair and a plate full of brownies, to the new team. Yeah. That's your goal. I go, wow. Anyways, that was my intro. So it was painful. I got to admit, it was the challenge in flying physically, mentally, no G suit. And there's a story that I'll tell you later on about near G-Lock that because G-Lock, G-induced loss of conscience, has killed several Blue Angels since I left the team. And it's certainly a threat. It's a big threat for the guys flying these jets, lower the ground, high G, no G suit. But we train in Pensacola for, twice a day. And then you get Christmas break off and New Year's. And then you transit to El Central as a 6-plane Delta. You've trained a few times. And so you look decent. You kind of look like the Blue Angels, hopefully, going from Pensacola to El Central, landing somewhere in between. If you don't, and I guess and sometimes maybe, if you don't look like a 6-plane Delta, just taking off and landing, coming in for the overhead, pitch up break, 6-plane, or turnout, you don't transit as a Delta. So that's the goal is to transit with all 6 jets and look like the Blue Angels when you come and go out of airfields. Not some ragtag bunch of guys, looking like shit coming in for the for the overhead or something,
Same day, same way.
Yeah. So you got, that was the goal, was to make the 6-plane transit and look good, to embarrass the Blue Angels. So we get to El Central, then you fly twice a day, 6 days a week. And then it was Groundhog Day. You get an SOP. You read about the maneuvers, and then the slot pilot as a new guy will take the sticks and brief you with sticks on maneuvers. Then you go out and try it, and you fail miserably, and you do stupid, wacky shit.
Wow.
And hope that you get better every day. And there's one I'll tell you about if you get a minute. That's a kind of a funny story about it as a new guy.
Yeah.
So I'm the only new guy in the Diamond in 1994. The boss is second year boss. 3 is a second year 3. 4 is a third year guy. 3, 4, 4. So I'm the weak link. And they always told the camera, he always followed Lawman, follow his jet if we're doing any maneuvers. On the walk down, they followed me up the ladder, up, everything was on me. I'm the new knucklehead. I can't even find the gear handle. We get on formation on the runway in diamond set. Off brakes now. You're in diamond down the runway. You're looking at the tip of the Lao 7, the missile launcher on Boss's right wing, putting on the hubcap of Boss's right nose gear tire on the center axle point, and that's your whole world. The tip of the missile launcher rail on that center hubcap, all the way down the runway. There's no hand signals. We're going flying. Boss starts to fly. You just rotate with him and slide into the diamond set. And as soon as number 4 feels weight off wheels, he'll call gear. And all 4 jets simultaneously gear up and flaps up. And they put a little extender switch on the flaps so you can do it simultaneously. Otherwise, you have a different configuration. Sure. And if you are half a heartbeat behind the boss on that gear and flaps, you're out of position. You can't stay in position. Right. I couldn't find the goddamn gear handle, of course. Because I had no there somewhere. I had no muscle memory. I go, where's the guy? Because you can't look. You cannot. You're in a diamond set. You're already 3 feet from this other jet. Try not to move, and the slot pilot calls gear, and you have to reach with your blindly and get the gear and flaps up. And I was like, I missed it by half a heartbeat, and so they're giving me shit about that. I'm clearing immediately. I can't even do the damn takeoff. And at one point, after a few days of this, some smart ass Navy pilot brings a tie pin, like those aluminum tie pins, like you would bake a pie in. Yeah. Big circular pie tin with a ruler taped to it with duct tape. He goes, hey, Lawman, we're going to send this to Nav Air, the engineers, and have them engineer you a landing gear handle that looks like this big. So you got to find the goddamn gear handle on takeoff. Holy shit. So I was, I had no muscle memory in the jet. So one of the first days we're there, they brief in El Centro, we're going to do the afterburner loop on takeoff. The diamond burner loop on takeoff. But Lawman, you're not qualified to do this. So Boss and I, Dino's saying this, Boss and I and Snooze will fly the burner loop on takeoff. You'll taxi out with us. Our 3 jets will take the runway. I'll fly the right wing in the little V, they call it. Without the diamond, they go little V. And you watch us do the takeoff. And when we roll down the runway, you line up and wait on the runway, same runway. And when you see us coming down over the top on the loop, vertical nose down, pointed, we'll be right in front of you, vertical nose down, pointing at the runway. You start your takeoff roll in full burner, because we're going to accelerate out in front of you at about 400 knots on the end of this loop. And then we're going to turn off to the left, come back right, smoke off, and then maneuver's over, and then you can join. Okay, that's the plan. So we taxi out. Boss and 3 and 4 take the runway. Dino takes my position on the right wing, and I'm watching these guys. The newbie, and I hear the comm, burner loop on takeoff, Snooze, Dino, off brakes now, burners ready now, and down the runway they go full afterburners, and the burners, when you have both burners on, you liberate the smoke that super heats the oil, smoke oil, so there's no smoke and burner. Down the runway they go, 3 jets and huge afterburners, making a lot of noise. And they rotate and they go up and they look like, the Blue Angels. Like, oh my God, that's the goddamn Blue Angels. I was mesmerized. I was a spectator going, holy shit. That is cool as hell. Oh yeah. I'm sitting in the Blue Jet watching these 3 other guys do the afterburner loop on takeoff, which no other team in the world did. Nobody did that. Varsity maneuver on takeoff. Down to a 200-foot AGL bottom, is the goal typically. And they look like the Blue Angels. Like these guys are show ready, I'm going, holy shit. So I get on the runway and I'm mesmerized watching them. And I forget to start my takeoff. Oh shit. They're like way out in front of me now. I go, oh man. So I go full afterburner, of course, on a clean F-18. Now I'm a Harrier A4 kind of guy, subsonic, transonic, single engine kind of guy. I'm in a clean F-18 and full blower, trying to catch these 3 jets that are like dots now out in front of me, like, tiny little jets. Yeah. I rotate gear up, flaps up, and I bore sight them. I'm like pointing at these guys, pure pursuit. And I had no idea how slow they are at the end of this maneuver on the clear. And Boss starts coming back right, smokes off. And these 3 jets go from little jets to big jets. I look at my HUD, airspeed. I'm doing 600 knots plus indicator. I'm like, oh, I'm almost supersonic. I'm like 0.9. Holy shit. Idle, boards. There's no nozzles, I'm like, oh my God. And they're turning into me now. I'm on the right side and Boss is turning into me. And they're in diamond set. And I roll and pull 7.5 G limber to pull all I can get out of this jet, squat the jet on the inside. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to hack the turn on the right side. So what do you do in the fleet? They've told you from day one in T-34s, any formation flying, you can't hack the run. Underrun.
Yeah.
Underrun.
It's been beat into you for years. So I do what I've been trained to do for years, do the right thing, level my wings, and fly below the formation and underrun. I call Lawman's underrunning. You would have thought I shot the boss with a missile. It's this extreme, knock it off. Boss, knock it off. Lawman, knock it off. Snooze, knock it off. Dino, knock it off. I'm going, why are we knocking it off? And then Dino's yelling at me again. I go, Lawman, there's no such thing as an underrun in the Blue Angels. It doesn't exist in our vernacular. You won't find that word anywhere. And the rest of the people, what the fuck are you doing? You can't hack the turn. You just go the fuck away. Get away from us. I go, what? There's no underrun in the Blue Angels? Yeah. So I got my ass chewed that day too. There's no, you either hack the turn in your piece of airspace,
yeah,
or you go away. You just magically disappear, and boss doesn't see you until you can join in the proper position, right? So I got, oh man, so I'm already way behind the power curve. That's kind of my intro to the Blue Angels, was just trying to hang on, learn, chip away every day, improve somewhat, and not get fired, So.
That is
you
awesome.
did it.
Yeah, you did. You survived and thrived. So one thing I want to ask you, Lawman, you talked about it in kind of a side thing. What are the debriefs like?
Wow. Okay, that's a great question. We've all been through some hard debriefs. I mean, right? Anybody's been to MOTS, or if you've flown a red flag, you've seen the Air Force come in. And even in the Harrier world, anybody that's really doing their game, if you're honest about it, you really pick apart. The whole thing is,
you're professional,
plan,
you're trying to learn more.
Fly, and then debriefs where you really learn, right? Maybe you learn some stuff in the Air Course and you pick it apart and you really learn the lessons learned in the regular fleet debrief versus, hey, repeat what you got for me? Nothing, man. Hey, see you,
Yeah.
The blues, I tell you, the goal is perfection. Even on a train, everything, the goal, every maneuver, everything they do, the goal is to be perfect, which isn't impossible, but you never stop trying to be perfect. Because if you start trying to be perfect, now you settle for pretty damn good, or we're pretty good, then you get complacent, and then people start getting killed, or you start to suck.
Right.
And I heard that one thing about the debrief, I must have heard 10,000 times my first few months in debrief. Lawman, you suck. That was probably the most common theme I heard. Was, Lawman, you suck. Now I didn't know because I had nobody else to compare it to, but I learned that everybody sucks early on. But because I was the only guy sucking, there's no new other number 3 with me to suffer with me and take some of the heat. It was just me, because it was always, if anybody's out of position, it must have been Lawman. But so the debriefs are critical. And the one thing you learn about the debriefs is be honest and confess your sins. And they expect that. You cannot improve in life, no matter what you're doing, any endeavor, if you don't have any self-awareness that you can get better, or you should get better, or you've made mistakes. And so at the end of we land, we do the maintenance debrief, you walk in and you have a few minutes to collect your thoughts and take some notes. And first thing you do is you refly the entire sword in your mind and you write down any mistake you made. They call them safeties.
Yeah.
And then the debrief starts with a general and safe, and it's always with boss first. And boss generally says how he felt about the demonstration flight, whether it's practice or an air show, in generally, how it went well or not so well, whatever his perception of that. And then safeties. And if he's got a safety or two, he'll say, I'll take a safety for this, I'll take a safety for that. And that's any procedural error, or even keying the wrong mic, which is a big deal. You keyed the wrong mic, 1 or 2, it's a big deal, depending on who owns the flight line and who's making calls for maneuvers. So every little thing is a safety, and you should confess your sins. And as a new guy, you don't learn, you learn some, hey, that's a mistake, Lawman, that's a safety. Okay, got that. So the debrief, you say you fly an air show, a 40-minute air show, and the average debrief, I would say, would be an hour and a half to 2 hours. Nitpicky. Take the video, and the camera never lies.
Right.
And the squadron flight surgeon, from the ground perspective, is trained during winter training from day one, because they figure doctors are smart and they're very observant, and they don't have another job on the ground while the guys are flying. Nobody's like, needs immediate medical care right now, typically. So the team flight surgeon's job is to learn to critique the ground from the center point perspective, from the crowd perspective. What does it look like from the spectators? So they get very, very good, very sharp eye. They learn from watching, hours and hours of debriefs and videos about what this maneuver should look like and who's out of position. Every little thing, include whose smoke came on last or early smoke or this or that. And they're very, very good. And so every debrief will start with, especially during show season, the flight surgeon, so the diamond slot pilot will say, hey, diamond burn loop on takeoff. And then the first person to speak would be the flight surgeon has his note card from, okay, he goes through the maneuver with any mistakes anybody that he saw from the ground perspective.
Yeah.
And some people think, oh, bullshit, that was, he's got the wrong guy. Then they play the tape. And they got these very expensive cameras that roll stabilized, lenses, and they'll stop the video a tenth of a second, and sure as shit, there's my jet. I go, God dang it, out of position. Late smoke or whatever. And plus, the other guys, the experienced guys in particular, can see your mistakes up close. They can, if you bobble a wing in them or push them too hard or do this or that, they can see it. So what they expect is you to come into the debrief and first of all confess your sins and be aware of the mistakes you made. And sometimes they'll point out if you missed one, hey, Lawman, on this maneuver you did this or that. Yeah. And the goal is as an experienced Blue Angel, only have one or two safeties. Narrow down to maybe none, hopefully, but no more than one or two. Early on, you're making a lot of mistakes because you're learning. So the debriefs are critical. And if the maneuver wasn't perfect, if your jet wasn't perfect on that maneuver, your jet, it's not good enough. And you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
And they always tell you not to take it personal, especially as a new guy. It's hard because you're getting beat up a lot because you suck. You're never in position or hardly. And you think, oh, mine must be the worst balloons they ever hired. God, my God, please God, let me get through another day.
Yeah.
Help me out here, you hear that quite a bit, but if you have the right attitude about just persevering, okay, I'm open to criticism, take notes, study it, and look for trends in particular. I keep doing this thing, so I got to stop doing that. And every brief, every pilot has to, in front of the entire team who's in there for that brief, has to state a specific goal for that flight. That you are telling the team, I am going to fix this today. Or I'm going to do this better today. Here, my specific goal for the day is the up on the line of breast loop. I'm not going to sag it or whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And you tell the team, and then they expect you to fix it. And then they show the tape, and did you fix it or not? You're called out on it. No matter who you are. And the boss is a squadron commander, former successful, highly competitive Navy commander who has commanded the squadron on a fleet carrier. Now he's the boss, right? Doesn't matter. You're out of position. Boss makes a mistake. He's going to hear about it. The rank is meaningless at the table.
Right. And as it should be, if you're going to be a professional team,
awesome.
right? That counts on each other for your very lives. Yeah.
So debriefs are painful, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm horrible. And then you get a 30-minute break, eat a burrito at El Centro or something, and down a Coke, and then you go out and do it again, and you suck again.
Right.
And in the back of your mind that, oh shit, and you fly a maneuver, you go, I'm gonna hear about this one. But you got to flush it. You have to flush it.
Yeah, because you got 50 more to go.
You got more to do. Like, damn it. Okay. And I learned the lesson the hard way. If you don't, and this is where it's very can be fatal.
Yeah.
If you don't flush it and move on, okay, what's next? Focus. Do the next one better. I made a mistake early in winter training. Of course, I sucked, and I was out of position on some diamond rolling and looping maneuver, and got cleared. And then I the next maneuver was worse. And then the next one was worse. I was like, geez, I'm just falling apart over here. And Dino, we call it a knock it off, right? Lawman, go well clear, they call it. Go well clear. It's like fleet parade and like, get away from us. Right, Lawman, you're cleared aft and you RTB. I'm like, what? I got a good jet here.
Oh, wow.
He sent me home.
Yeah.
Oh, what? It was the flight of shame.
Yeah.
It was a single jet return to El Centro. And the maintenance guys are monitoring our frequency because they want to know if early on, if a guy's got a bad jet,
they've got to fix something.
They'll have a spare jet turning for you. They've always got a spare jet with a crew chief sitting in. If they have to, they'll crank that jet and you land and that right engine's already cranked. You jump run the ladder, you jump in, crank the left motor, wipe out the flight controls, and go if you have time.
Nice.
To make it's like a pit crew. It's like a NASCAR pit crew, man. They're world class. I've done it a couple of times and during their show too. It's phenomenal how fast it can be to jump into a spare jet. So maintenance, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
But they're going to ask you, because it's early you still got 40 minutes of flying to go. Hey sir, do you spare jet? And I'm going, oh no. And
I think so.
And so I said, no, I said, negative. The jet is good. It's not the jet. I'm just RTB. And they got asked a question, but they know. Okay. Yeah. So it was I had to land my jet come in for the overhead. Yeah. I came in for the overhead or just snuck in on a quiet, straight end. Like, maybe I sneak this jet in here and nobody notices it. But you park on the flight line and all the troops are out there.
Yeah.
You park a jet and you get out and there's 5 other jets out there over Shade Tree bombing range training, and you don't want them, man. And then you got to wait by yourself. And I waited by maintenance control for the other 5 jets to land, and do the walk of shame into the debrief. And no, man, I'm gonna get my ass beat. But it was a wake up call, and Dino was right. Lawman, you let that bad maneuver get to you, and you were not focused on and you got to be dangerous. And he's right. Yeah. My second year, we landed the guy during the show, put him on the ground because we got the same thing. You got dangerous. All right, hey, clear, land your jet during a show, on a show day in front of spectators. Wow. They don't mess around.
Yeah. No, the spectators don't know anything about why.
They don't. They think you're broken jet. The Blue Angels. In my opinion, you could fly by the crowd, invert it, and eject, and they would clap. Oh my God, that's great!
Part of the show.
That's different. They don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I got a ton of questions about the show. How do you wind up in the same spot? Yeah. Over the airfield at the same time, those sorts of things.
I know people love to hear tell you about how the geometry works out in the overhead photographs, and then again, if you want to, we can talk some more funny stories about swapping paint and things like that.
Love to have you back.
And you got to ask me about at one point. Ask me about the walk down and marching as a Marine. That's a good story there too. So,
absolutely.
There's some other ones out there that are kind of fun.
Did you have to teach those squids how to march?
The walk down when we land the jets, and they do the walk down where 6 picks up 5, 4, 3, and they pick up the Boston, and then you march, and then you squadron halt, hand salute, and then the show's over. The walk down is choreographed, same as walking through the jets. The walk down is huge, and the show's not over to the handshake. And there's a good story about the walk down involving me. I can tell you about that. You might get to chuckle out of.
I'm taking notes.
I won't spoil it now, but it's a good story.
I have a question, not regarding that, but it was from an earlier story you were telling about Westpac. Your CO at the time, and I don't remember who it was. I don't know if you said, was it Venom?
No, it's Hunter. Call sign Hunter.
Okay.
He was bound to determine he was going to be an 06, and he wasn't going to let you guys, the squadron, anybody in the squadron screw it up for him, right? I mean
that is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that always ends well.
Yeah. And then you told the story. You told the story about, he was had it set up this dog and pony show for the
Admiral's visit. Admiral
pack, basically coming.
Yeah, Air Pack or Sync Pack or somebody.
Right. So
someone with a bunch of Texaco stars on his collar.
Yeah.
Did he make 06?
I believe he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Yes.
Okay.
But he didn't get the command he wanted. He did not get the Mag 12. So
okay, that's I remember that.
Yeah, that didn't work out. Another story about he really got mad at me. Well, he was mad already. I went from the A team to the B team, but have you guys been to Westpac? So
sure,
we took our jets over 20 jets back in the day, VMA 331, all day attacks, transpacked all the way over there, which is painful if you've done that.
Oh yeah.
Long time, 1G, piddle packs, I learned you want to be in the KC-10. You want to be the NATOPS safety observer in the KC-10 with the Air Force guys eating burritos in the microwave and walking to the bathroom, using the lavatory, laying out and stretching out, and watching guys get gas for hours on end.
Yeah.
And it's 1G flight. It's all born 1G flying. So you get penalized if you do the transpac and they try to balance out the flight hours. You're not getting all the tactical sorties now for a while because you bagged how many hours of 1G just getting the jet to Japan. So
It's 20
But,
hours to get there for
How's
crying
the old
crazy,
story go? Is the hairy guy pulls up next to the KC-10, but usually you're in trail a little bit. Guy pulls up even with the flight deck and goes, "Hey guys, watch this." It does an aileron roll and goes, "What do you think that? Pretty cool." KC-10 guy goes, "Oh yeah, watch this." About a minute and a half later, he goes, "What'd you think of that?" He goes, "I didn't see anything. We're just flying along straight and level." He goes, "Yeah, I went up and went back. I took a piss, got a cup of coffee and a donut, and now I'm back in my seat."
because you can, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to blow,
You're
I
stuck
would
in
do
the
tricks
cockpit
like-
where you can't even stretch your legs out.
yeah. I would do tricks like blow my G suit up, every once in a while, like almost
Yeah.
would explode
sure.
just to massage your legs,
Yeah.
And you're peeing in a piddle pack. Now, if you're wearing, especially, remember the old anti-exposure suits?
Oh God,
yes.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
poopy suits,
They're,
the rubber
they're
suits.
like, if you do any scuba diving, they're like dry
Oh, no.
suits, and they're miserable.
Yeah, big zippers back. And, if you're crossing the Atlantic on a cold day, you're wearing an anti-exposure suit, or you should be.
Yeah.
Right.
For protect. Otherwise, you're not going to survive any time in the water. But unless you were really well blessed at birth, really well endowed, good luck sitting in an ejection seat, getting through all that gear: G suit, flight suit, poopy suit, undergarments.
Nomex underwear, long Nomex. Yes.
And then pulling that thing out and peeing into a plastic bag.
And of course, the zippers didn't line up. Remember?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
the poopy suit was horizontal zipper. Of course, our
Yeah.
flight suit and the
Is
poopy
vertical.
suit
Oh, yeah.
liner were vertical zippers. So you're vertical, you're horizontal. Something was going to get chafed.
Oh yeah.
I
The
mean, it was
the smartest guy I ever knew, and I can't recall who it was. He was brilliant. Before we started getting the British, remember the British had anti-exposure suits, but they had the really nice, flexible, soft
Yeah, the
wrist
rubber,
seals
really,
and neck
really
seals.
nice rubber.
Really,
Yes.
really nice. Where in the Marine Corps, Navy stuff would cut you. It was really that white, thick rubber that would cut into your neck and your
It's miserable.
wrist.
Yeah.
The smartest guy I ever knew, he would, when we had to wear, like even in Cherry Point, flying over the whiskey areas in the wintertime, remember if the temperature, certain temperature, and you had any chance of water entry, significant chance of water entry, you had to wear a poopy suit. He would just pretend to put one on. He only had the wrist seals and the neck seal, no suit. He would pull this, he'd cut them off. So he would pull the neck seal over his head and put the wrist seals on his wrists, like wristbands, and no suit to be comfortable. He was willing to risk it, but the rest of us are, suffering and sweating like a pig in these suits, and this guy's out there with just the wrist seals on anyway. But one more story about that. So crossing the pond one time with Nightmare. You all know Nightmare.
Yep.
And you ought to get him on sometime, maybe two.
Oh yeah.
We were a 4-ship, actually 3. We lost a jet in Turkey on the way back with 3 jets, all the way from Balıkesir, Turkey, all the way to Cherry Point through road to Spain. Out of Spain, crossing the Atlantic with KC-10s, 1 KC-10, 3 jets. Satchmo, Satchmo was leading it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Nightmare and I are on one wing, so we got gas, and then the tanker punched into the clouds. Went IMC out of nowhere. Just IMC.
Thank you.
Yep. And we tried to. We were way back about a mile and a half. Lollygagging, and we saw Satchmo join up on the wing, and then the tanker and Satchmo went IMC, which means into the clouds, halfway across the Atlantic Ocean. And I think, well, if Nightmare confesses that he's lost sight, then I will say, hey, Lawman's lost sight of the tanker. But Nightmare never said a word. So I just we both went IMC into the clouds, and I maintained an air-to-air, you remember the yardstick, air-to-air TACAN?
Yep.
I maintained about a 0.4 DME from the tanker. Nightmare's over there somewhere, beam me.
Oh my
holding the heading.
gosh.
And we're thinking, okay, now, if we get to the point where we're getting close to the next refueling point, then I'll confess, hey, magic, whatever, over here on the right wing, I've lost sight of the tanker. We never said a word for like 30 minutes. I was sweating the whole time thinking, I hope when we break out that. Anyway, so that was Nightmare, and I crossed an Atlantic one time, lost sight on the tanker and did not confess. But we broke out and got back in, got gas. But we're getting ready to bring all our 20 jets back from Westpac in '89. So VMA 542 was going to take our place. So 20 jets got across back to Cherry Point. And maintenance is working hard to get all the jets prepped for the Transpac. But the skipper said every pilot in the squadron gets one more good deal cross country somewhere. Korea, down to Kadena, maybe Okinawa.
Sapporo, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but the garden spot, of course, was QB Point.
Right.
The Philippines. That was the real playground. So
just don't look in the monkey's eyes.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. Smitty was our maintenance officer, and he talked to Skipper and letting Smitty take a section down to the Philippines. So the very last ever VMA 331 boondog to the PI, and he took me as his wingman. So Skipper said, you guys can go to the Philippines. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but be back Sunday night. We have Monday and Tuesday to prep the jets, and we got we're transpacking back. So Smitty and I, we fly all the way to Kadena, and then you would fly like almost 1,000 miles from Kadena, down to the Philippines, across the water. We got there Friday night, had a great time. Saturday, Sunday morning, it's raining. We're supposed to go back to Iwakuni, section go. So Smitty had briefs a section go. We had drop tanks, so over 11,000 pounds of gas, 8,000 foot wet runway, carved the power down the runway, and right at rotation, I got a firelight.
Oh boy.
So I call, I said, hey, Keaton Mike said, hey, Lawman's got a firelight. And Smitty looked at him like, you got to be kidding me. What? And it was no kidding. I
got to stay at QB Point. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. And he disappeared in the goo because it was about 300-400 overcast. So he went IMC. I nosed over and stayed VMC. I didn't want to go into the goo
with a firelight.
Somebody's wing with a firelight.
And for people that haven't flown there is a crap ton of high terrain within 2 or 3 miles. I mean,
mountains,
it's right there.
Terrain, yeah. So I nosed over, stayed VMC below, stayed dirty, and in the air, nozzle zapped, right?
Yeah.
For a firelight, and try to land conventionally. So I'm turning downwind over the bay, Subic Bay, over Navy ships, and I'm dumping all the gas I can. Remember, you can dump it down to about 2,800 pounds of gas in the area. I want to get as light as possible. I'm looking for secondaries.
You just wanted to help the Navy clean their ships.
Yeah. There you
go. Some cleaning solution.
Well, I am dumping JP4, whatever it was, Navy gas, I guess JP4, at about 300-foot AGL, trying to stay. I'm at 300-foot AGL on downwind. Declaring an emergency. Smitty's overhead somewhere. And there are 2 F-18s sitting at the whole shore watching this whole boondoggle. And, of course, the resting gear is raised at
which we have to land beyond in the Harrier.
I got to land. Now I got maybe, 7,000 feet of runway wet in the rain. I'm dumping gas. I don't see any secondaries, which doesn't mean you don't have a fire, of course. Yeah. But I'm dumping gas, and all that billowing looks like smoke behind my jet.
Oh, yes, the tower says they see smoke, right?
So tower sees, we see smoke behind your airplane. Go, God dang it, I must be on fire.
I'm on fire.
But and so I land. I did like a degree and a half of glide slope, land the jet, went to power nozzle braking, which puts the nozzles forward, and you come back up on the power, if you recall.
Right.
Because there's no drag chute, no tail chute. And the
airline equivalent of reverse thrust.
Shitty brakes,
Yeah.
And I go to power nozzle brake, and all that thrust is throwing all that water now forward to the jet, and the jet's enveloped in a huge wall of water. Crash fire rescue standing by, and I stopped the jet with like 200 feet to go. I mean, literally, almost in the overrun, and the jet is steaming because of all the all the water off the
all the
nozzles.
hot parts and water all over it. Oh, that's hilarious.
So these guys,
they think it's on fire.
They think I'm on fire.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to hose the jet down. I get out, stop, yell. They don't hose the jet down. We clear off the runway. Bottom line, Smitty lands. We go back inside. He calls the skipper back in Iwakuni. Say, hey, sir, wanted to tell you we're not going to make it back today. Lawman had a firelight on takeoff. Oh, shit, he had a firelight. You guys are trying to milk another day or two in the Philippines. He did not believe it. He said, put Lawman on the phone. Puts me on the phone. He said, what did you see? I said, firelight. He goes, what? I said, F-I-R-E, big red firelight. Had it all the way around till I shut the airplane down.
Hey, Skipper, look behind you. The Admiral's there for his brief.
Yeah.
Click.
So, yeah. Skipper was pissed. Yeah, he wants that jet back. They send a maintenance crew down, of course, on a Air Force jet.
Yeah.
And those guys, and they hooked up power to it. And I was praying, please God, because they were under orders. The gunnery sergeant said, I got to call the skipper as soon as I put power in the jet and tell him whether there's a firelight or not. That's my first task, to confirm there's a firelight. And they put power in the jet, and thank you God, there was a firelight. But they told me, these Marines worked with me. They said, sir, if there had not been a firelight, we would have made you a firelight. We would have
Clip.
we would have cut something.
Yeah, look
to
at
give you a
there.
firelight.
Look at that. There's a firelight.
They would have taken care of me. Yeah. So I was not.
West Marines.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. So we got.
Well,
the
that
Jets
goes back
at
to,
that.
you know, again, his attitude was, you guys don't screw it up for me. I want to make a next rank. And the only way to get ahead, as you both are Marine officers know, just take care of your Marines.
Yeah.
They'll take care of you.
Oh,
That'll
yeah,
take
yeah,
care of
they will,
itself.
yeah.
When you start telling people, hey, you help me, you push me up from below, and that's your duty, it ain't going to end well.
No, it's not. Yeah. You know, and there was, when I was flying A4s in Willow Grove a few years later, I think the funniest firelight story I ever heard was, it was an airline guy, and I don't know what airline it was, but he was actually with the Boston guys, South Weymouth A4 mics.
Yeah.
And they shut those guys down. So some of those guys came down and joined our unit at Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. Some good guys.
Yep.
But they had this tape that they played occasionally.
Was Lefty one of those guys? Were you there with Lefty there?
Lefty was not there when I was there.
Oh, okay.
We got Jazz came down and joined us.
Yep. He was a hairy guy before.
He was a hairy guy. He's the one that blew his tire.
Yes.
Blew a tire.
Tell that
coming
story
in.
real quick too when you get to it. Okay.
Okay, yeah. And then Baja, great guy. Got to play football at Notre Dame national championship. Played with Joe Montana.
Great guy.
Really good guy. Went to the majors. Yeah, good guy. So they had this tape from air traffic control from, I believe it was Kingsville or Beeville, Texas. Training command, Navy training command, and this Marine student, I think, in a T2 Buckeye, and he comes in for the. I can't recall the call sign, but you can hear him on tape, and he's really cool because you want him to really sound cool on the radios, right? So hey, this is Kingsville Towers is I'm throwing it out there. Gun train 22, 5 miles for the overhead. All right, gun train 22, call the numbers. Then here you go. Gun train 22 is the numbers. Really cool, collected. And then you cleared the brake, left brake, so he brakes, and the next call you hear on downwind is this shrill. Sounds like a little girl screaming, "This is Kudwa! This is Kudwa! I'm on fire! I'm on fire!" And there's a pause, and then a Navy pilot, instructor, another jet in the pattern goes, "Kudwa, you're on fire. Do you have any secondaries?" And he goes, Kudwa says, "Secondaries? How about smoking flames in the goddamn cockpit?" And he pulls the handle and jumps out of it. So he actually was on fire in the cockpit. He got out, but. So Jazz. So
Bobby Kudwa was a good shit. I worked for him at Fourth Mall for a while. But,
oh, you know him? Okay,
I know him well. He's actually not to bring it down. Bobby Kudwa is the one that told me I was a widower. He's the one that told me that Shay had died. So yeah,
you're kidding me.
Yeah, no, he was my
When
CEO.
did you that? Are you serious?
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. Yeah, I was working for him at Fourth Mall. He's the one that told me what had happened. So
yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Back to positive stuff. That was 27 years ago, and we're good.
Yeah. Well, on the reserves, you have to rush a unit. You don't. Headquarters Marine Corps do not assign you typically, unless you're an active duty guy. The one active duty guy maybe, but everybody else, you apply to the reserves, and you kind of get to know the guys if you're, a current pilot, and they vote. In the end, the ready room votes. You want this guy, Joe Smith or not, Smitty or, thumbs up or thumbs down. Yeah. That's the way it works, at least in the Marine Corps reserves.
Yeah.
And so you had to rush. And so they were shutting down the 8-4 mics in Boston. And those guys needed one of the flying jobs. So some of those guys are coming, hey, nearest place is Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. So they make some phone calls and ask for some sponsors, and I knew a couple of those guys. And Jazz had been the very first Marine lieutenant to jump out of a Harrier. It wasn't his fault. He had that flap impingement. So he got out, survived the Harrier ejection, and was flying A4s and flying for Major. Good guy, really good guy. I could vouch for him. So I said, yeah, hey, other guys knew him. Come on down. So they still had jets at Boston. So I'm going to bring an A4 mic down the next drill weekend. So he planned on it. We knew he was coming in. He called 10 miles out for the overhead. Came in, for a shit hot, 500 knot break. Everybody's looking out the window at him, watching how this guy flies, And he comes around a really tight pattern, really nice, lands it probably 150 away, arrow breaks it, a little bit. But I think Tower asked if he could make the very first left turnoff, expedite getting off the runway. And he did that, jumped on the brakes really hard, came left, and immediately blew his left main mount, and he stops. So he clears the runway. He's on his taxi. We're all looking at him, and we all watched the jet start to tilt left, slowly. It's just it rolls down on one wing almost, and he opens the canopy and it looks out, and you can see that. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me! Just blew a tire in front of the whole ready room, And he opens the canopy, and he knows where we're at. He looks up at the hangar, and he knows all these guys are probably looking out the window at him in the ready room on the second deck, and he keys to Mike, which is ready room microphone is on, loudspeaker. Yeah. And he looks right at us. He goes, "How am I doing so far?" That's all he said. And it was probably the best thing he could have said, because he got in. We voted him in. And he's the first airline guy I ever heard use the term in the reserves about, "Don't push me. I quit once. Yeah. And I'll quit again."
I'm a known entity.
Yeah, because
right.
Yeah, because active duty guys, unless you're at your annual obligation, you just can't quit a unit. Say, "Hey, I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of being, the way the opso's treating me, or the XO, or the C, or whatever it might be."
Yeah.
Jazz actually quit in the middle of a CAX, 29 pounds. You can't. Marines can't quit. It sucks in 29 pounds, right? You can't just pack your stuff. Say, "I'm tired of this. Yeah. I'm out of here."
Probably the suckiest exercise in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, you're in a tent. You're in a tent city, whether it's
hot, it's
summertime
nasty,
or it's wintertime.
He quit in the middle of a CAX.
Let me tell you, he'd been put on the ODO multiple days in a row, and I don't know what was going on, but somebody was just kind of giving him more duty than he thought was fair, and it probably was accurate, and not flying as much as he should. All these reserve guys, they're all airline guys. They come there to fly, and participate, and to the unit and the mission and all that, but. You don't come there to just do duty, to sit at the ODO desk while other guys fly airplanes. So he thought he was getting more than his fair share of duty, not flying. So he told the OPSO, whoever it was, "Hey, don't give me ODO tomorrow or I'm out of here." Next schedule comes out, there's his name on the schedule. ODO, remember LPOD or something like that? Last plane on deck, you got it from 1400, the last plane on deck. Right. So Jazz was an ODO again. And I remember him, he walked out of the tent ready room and wherever we're at in his flight suit, and he came back in civilian attire. What do you call it? Escape suits back then. The airline guys are called escape suits because they could escape, with a bag. And he said, "I quit. I'm out of here." And I didn't see him again for years later. He walked out of that tent, hitchhiked the main side, whatever, got a ride to Palm Springs, and flew back to Philadelphia. Yeah, he quit on us. Which I don't blame him, because he could.
Yeah, right.
And no one could do a damn thing about it. Yeah.
Done it once, I'll do it again. Holy smokes.
I had another note here that I remembered from my last notes before we quit on whatever night of the week that was last week that we'd had the marathon interview. You're a trooper, Lawman. You're actually you're a machine, man.
Yeah.
At the time you were telling some stories from your Blue Angel tour, and you said something about, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but the walk
down.
Funny story about the walk down.
You walk to the jet and from the jet. It's a very formal thing, right?
Oh, it's choreographed. You ever watch the Blue Angels fly? Even a practice show.
Yes.
Everything is choreographed and to the minutia. I mean, it's really incredible. And the camera, they filmed that, and they debrief that. The walk down and the walk back,
So you do that at El Centro in training from day one, then?
Yeah. In fact, my job is number 2. You learn it. You started in Pensacola. You started learning the 2-man walk down, then 4, and then 6. At a certain ward, or during
that's got to be. I'm sorry, that's got to be funnier and crap to watch 2 pilots walking back and forth in front of their jet. God. But you've got to do it. You can't just do it the first time. Yeah.
So when the skipper says, we're standing there at parade rest, number 6 will say, "You've got 6, boss," something to that effect. Then a certain narration part, the skipper calls, the boss, Squadron 10 hut, forward, march. And these guys are all, AOC guys. They've been training my Marines. Like the DI you had on the previous show.
Goody go.
And you step off. You always step off on the left foot, right? So on the third left foot, number 2, at least my time, so being me, would call hand salute. So you count 1, 2, 3, hand salute, up, pop, down. Because you were so close, shoulder to shoulder, you can't do a regular Marine Corps salute because you don't have the elbow room. Okay. So your hand comes almost straight up, then you do this little thing where your hand comes out like a pop. Yeah, and then you bring it
Not
back
that there's
down.
anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different.
But you guys are basically walking shoulder to shoulder at that point.
Shoulder to
If you
shoulder,
did a
yeah,
proper salute, you're
Yeah.
gonna elbow.
Yeah, you can't do this. So it's a different salute. Your hand comes straight up. You got to just learn years and years of Marine Corps saluting. Bring your hand straight up and you pop. And then they stop the film. And if your pop doesn't match boss's pop, they stop them. Hey, Lawman, you're late pop, early pop, whatever. You have to, or your hand was 1 inch ahead of boss's on the salute coming up. They're coming down. Everything they picked that apart, the hand salute, and walk up the ladder. So then boss peels off his jet, then you peel off your jet. When you walk up that skinny little F-18 ladder that comes down from the leading edge extension, it's inches wide. You walk up with your right hand only. You don't look at no left hand, one hand only, and you can't look at your feet. And I was the only new guy flying that year, than the Diamond in particular. So they always say, follow Lawman. The camera crew would always follow me to up the ladder. You know?
Of course.
Forget everybody else. Forget everybody else.
Yeah.
And then if I look down at my feet, because you're walking up a skinny little ladder with one hand, you know, and climbing on top of this F-18, which is pretty high off the deck, with no cranial, no helmet, because your helmet's in the jet.
Yeah.
And if you look down at your feet, Dino, the slot pilot, is running the debrief, said, Lawman, stop. He stopped the video. Did you drop some change? Did you drop something? What are you looking for? Stop looking down.
Ain't no discharge on the ground.
Okay. Ain't no discharge on the ground. Don't look down. So into the jet, and then and the whole startup thing was, choreographed too, how you got out, and all that. But I'm gonna go into that. So on the walk down, the walk back, so you would land the jets and you'd park and show parking, line abreast, 6 jets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then everybody's ready to get out of the jet on a certain signal from boss. You can never look, if you're number 2, you never look. If boss is to my left side, I never look out at him. I'm looking to my right side. When 6 is ready to get out of the jet, he looks at number 5. 5's ready, looks at 4. 4 looks at 3. 3 looks at 2. I'm ready. They're all looking at me. I look at boss. And he knows everybody's ready to get out of the jet, which is choreographed. How you get out of the jet is choreographed.
Stand up, stand on the seat.
Stand on the seat, make a V with your hands on top of the canopy bow, and then walk down the ladder. Again, don't look at your feet. Walk down with one hand. Don't look down. And then walk and stand in front of your jet, in front of your and you have 2 crew chiefs standing there. So you're at the nose of the jet is in your back, and you have 2 crew chiefs standing there with you at parade rest. You shake their hand and stand at parade rest. Then you wait, and a certain part of the narration, number 6 calls his crew 10 hut. He steps off and starts marching towards the number 5 jet. And he picks up number 5. And so a few feet away from number 5, he starts calling in left on the left foot, because you don't look at the guy coming at you. You look straight ahead at the crowd. You never look. You just listen. And then you step off in step with that pilot on the left foot as he's calling it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 5 calls it for 4. 4 calls it for 3. 3 calls it for me, left. So I'm listening. I hear them coming. There's 4 guys coming at me. I can kind of see them peripherally.
I know you're not eyeballing them.
You can't eyeball them. Don't turn your head.
You eyeball
them. Right. Don't eyeball the area.
You eyeballing them, Lawman.
And I could hear snooze calling in left, only loud enough for us to hear. The crowd can't hear that. So no one's hearing this except for us. Left. I would step. I'd tap my toes. Okay, tap my toes ever so slightly.
Yeah.
I would step off either left or right, depending whichever parked.
Yeah.
And step with these guys. And then I would call out left foot for the boss and would stop and hand salute and all that. So occasionally I hear left, I'd step out on the left foot. I could tell immediately I'm not in step with these guys. When you're marching shoulder to shoulder with guys and you're not in step, it's obvious.
Yeah.
You're like Gomer Pyle, I'm like goofy, like trying, the clown with the big clown feet. You're like, what the hell? Trying to do a change step, and we're so close to boss that I start calling the left on my foot, which is the wrong foot, and Dino's yelling at me, Lawman, shut up, or Snooze yelling, Lawman, shut up. And then Dino or Snooze would pick up and call left for the boss. And then the boss would come out and be in step with other Navy guys. And the only guy out of step was the Marine.
No.
I'm going, oh my
the only
God.
guy in step was the Marines. The squids were out of step, Lawman.
Right. So, you get to that part of the debrief, which of course is the end of the show, even for practice show, and they would stop say, Lawman, we thought if anybody can march well, it would be the Marine. You guys are known for precision drill and march. And what the hell is wrong with you? Can't you come out on the proper foot? I'm like, focus, stay focused, and listen for that left foot, and step out and step with the rest of us. Okay, I'm working on it. I'm taking notes. And then, weeks would go by, or a month or two, and I'd be in step the whole time. Then other time I'd come back out again. I'm out of step. I'm like, what the hell? And they would play the video and go, Lawman, what the hell is wrong with you? The Marine can't march. This went on for the entire first year. Just every once in a while, I would come out on the wrong foot. And I was thinking, racking my brain, thinking, what can I do? How can I fix this? How can I not come out on the wrong foot? Focus, listen, tapping my toes. And so finally, end of the season, towards the end of the year, that first year, there's a practice show in Pensacola. I came out on the wrong foot again. Clueless the clown, looked like, Gomer Pyle out there with, the sergeant yelling at me.
Yeah, where's Sergeant Carter chewing your ass, right?
But in this case, it's Dino in the debrief. What the hell, Lawman? Can't you march? Goddamn Marine. And I said, I don't know what, I tell you guys, I threw my hands up. I don't know what to do. I said, I'm really at a loss. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm focused. I am laser focused on the left foot, hearing that left foot call from Snooze. I'm trying to step out with you guys. I can't figure it out.
Tell me Snooze is screwing with you.
He said, oh, man, don't you get it? I go, what? We've been fucking with you, man. We've been screwing with you. I go, what? They go, only in practice shows, and only occasionally, guys say, hey, guys, today, Snooze is going to call left on the right foot, and we're going to fuck with Lawman. So the Navy guys, so Snooze approaching my jet would call left on the right foot.
Of course.
I'm here left. I would step out, and then I'm out of step. So it was a good-natured Navy Marine Corps kind of poke your finger at you a little bit, but the Navy messing with the Marines. So the march down, and it was embarrassing because the troops were out, and I've learned this, we never did this in front of the public. So I didn't put that together, that it was only a practice show these things happened at. So they would never do something that intentional in front of the public, but they would do that in front of the team would be out there going, how come that Marine can't march?
God, that's funny.
That coming.
Yeah.
I almost
said they had to be, yeah.
They are screwing with you, man. They're screwing with you.
I was not thinking that way. I just didn't get it that way. So, I should have seen it coming, though.
Yeah.
I should have seen it coming.
So you were out in the public a lot, and obviously at the end of the show, you did the meet and greets, those sorts of things. There's a lot of pressure there to be solid all the time. But you got to meet, and you got to meet some amazing people too. I mean, you sent some pictures, and I'll try and include some of the pictures, like of the walk down and the salute and that sort of stuff. But the cool thing about it was people wanted to meet you. The Commandant wanted a picture with you. Bo Jackson wanted a picture with you. Who are some of the other people you got?
You were at Van Halen.
Yeah, you went to Eddie Van Halen's house, right?
Yeah,
got to meet Valerie Bertinelli.
Well, that's what I wanted to meet Valerie Bertinelli, but here's what happened.
Oh, he was smart enough to keep her away from you guys?
Here's what happened. So, the Van Halen had done that Dreams, the video with the Blue Angels. They combined Van Halen's song, which was a big hit.
Yeah.
Really well received video with the Blue Angels. Really pretty kind of song. It went very well with the Blue Angels flying. So the team already had kind of a relationship with Van Halen. And so in 1994, my first year on the team, the public affairs officer, Cubby, who ended up being admiral, spokesman for the Pentagon, said, hey, Van Halen's agent has called and wants you guys to come out to the house if you want. So sure, who wants to go to Eddie Van Halen's house? So nice. I was a fan of Van Halen. I mean, it's pretty cool. Eddie Van Halen, those guys are obviously very famous.
Yeah.
Good
rock and roll.
Stars.
Yeah.
Oh man, greatest guitar ever, probably, maybe, arguably. And but I also had a crush on Valerie Bertinelli.
Right on. Yeah.
Back in the day from her TV show.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
This is 1994, so she was still fairly young.
A little smoke show.
Yeah. Maybe early 30s, maybe. I was 30, 34. So I go, I want to meet Eddie, but I want to meet Valerie. So his agent picks us up in some van or something like that, and we drive to this of course big gated mansion, and drive this long driveway, and 180 out, approaching us, leaving the mansion, was Valerie Bertinelli in this Lamborghini SUV with, I believe it's Wolfgang, the son, only child they had, in the back seat. And I'm like waving and yelling, she goes 180 out. So I got within like 8 feet of her, and she was gone. And maybe she didn't want to hang out with Van Halen and a bunch of Blue Angel.
Bunch
Navy
of
pilots
degenerate
and stuff.
Navy pilots, naval aviators.
So we went to, we hung out with Eddie and the guys. You saw that picture. All four of them were there, the whole band, and it was pretty nice. We basically just shot the shit with these guys and sat in, I believe it was like a converted room that he had converted into a studio on his property. So we basically hung out at this recording studio that Eddie and the guys used there on the property. And they were really laid back. Eddie was very quiet. He was probably the quietest of the four.
Interesting.
And I got to admit, being a former state trooper, they gave us a walk. We could walk around and take a look at everything. They had refrigerators and stuff. Hey, help yourselves. Yeah.
Were you looking for evidence, Lawman?
I was looking for paraphernalia, drugs.
Yeah.
Famous, I couldn't find even a marijuana seed. These guys were clean. I'm not kidding you. They had nothing. And they told us they had sobered up, that they had spent gobs and they do these shows that make a ton of money, and then a lot of it be gone on booze, drugs, women, whatever during the day, and they had sobered up. They had families, and they were trying to get their act together. But not a beer. All those refrigerators, sodas, and water. Like not even a can of beer in this place.
Nice.
I mean, these guys really were clean and sober at that time, and great guys to hang out with. We offered them all an F-18 ride. Hey, come out and fly with us. Put you in the back seat of an F-18, take you up for a ride. All four of them declined it. Said nope, not interested. So
wow.
Did not. They loved doing the music, like the video and all that. We're thinking about maybe doing another video with the team, but did not want to fly in the jet.
I'd go for one today. I'd go in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So so Eddie that was a kind of a fun visit. We got Jay Leno. We went to his show,
Nice.
got to hang out with him behind stage, backstage.
Yeah.
You get invited to people's homes. You're treated like a celebrity and a rock star for about 2 years, unless you're doing a 3-year tour.
Yeah.
Then you go back to being Joe Blow, the rag man, nobody.
Right.
Back to the fleet. Do your own.
Guys standing there with wire clippers as you're pulling out of your parking spot for the last time, right? To take your sign down off your.
Yeah. You got to I got to walk around and do my own pre-flight. I got to pre-flight this Harrier jet.
Right.
Of course, you go from the Blues, which is impeccable maintenance. I mean, these guys are. It's incredible the attention to detail the maintainers have and the dedication to the jets that the maintainers have.
Well, they don't even let a bug spot stay on the jet. Right?
Oh, it's crazy, man.
The
These
dead
guys
bug on the
choke
jet is
clean.
off.
They clean those jets with rags and spray bottles. I mean, these guys, it's impeccable. And every switch, if you're a Blue Angel pilot, you don't even pre-flight the cockpit. You don't adjust your radio volumes. They know where you want your radio volumes, your splits. 1 and 2 at one radio at 10 o'clock, number 2 at 2 o'clock, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You tell, and that's where your radio volume knobs will be. Your gloves laid out in the cockpit, left over right or right over left. That's where they'll be every single time. Your skull cap pinned onto an alligator clip. The skull cap before you put your helmet on.
Right.
They'll ask you day one, sir, which way do you want your skull cap face? You want it facing left or you want it facing right? So I don't care. It doesn't matter. Sir, we have to know because that's the way it's going to be every single time. And that was the precision. You go from that kind of precision where everything's taken care of. The jet has been turned, powered up, and shut down and cleaned. And I hate to say this, you go back to the Marine Corps, AV fleet.
Yeah, maintenance control. Your jet's out there. Go get in it.
I remember I was becoming the maintenance officer 214, my first post Blue Angel flying tour after Command and Staff College. And I walked to a jet that had been assigned to be my maintenance control, safe for flight, on the flight line, Yuma, Arizona, VMA 214, which is a great squadron, but young Marines make mistakes. And I walked to the right side of the airplane. There's a complete 4-foot panel missing from the jet, not even on the airplane, exposed avionics.
Right.
Right. They just miss little things, so you get spoiled by the Blues and the precision that you get to work with there,
Oh, that's cool.
Well, what a great experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't thank you enough for joining us and for honoring us with your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Happy birthday to your bride.
Yeah, Lawman.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll pass it on to her. She's a lovely lady.
And thank you for your service. And
same as you guys. Yeah, man, I'm honored to have flown with you guys. It was a pleasure to have flown with guys like yourselves. True great Americans. That still having fun and love talking about flying and
It never gets old.
And telling funny stories about ourselves, it's nothing wrong with that.
No, it never gets old.
Well, that seems about as good a place as any to break it up for this week, Lawman. Thank you for joining us. I want to say also thanks to all of you listeners who are doing something that is humbling to us. One, you're listening, and we know you've got over 3 million podcasts from which to choose, but choosing ours and listening to us is humbling and an honor. So thank you. The other thing you've been doing, and I would ask you to please keep doing, is sharing this show with other people whom you know will enjoy a good aviation tale. That is also humbling to us. One of the best ways to help our ratings is if you are using any Apple devices is to use the Apple Podcaster app. That helps our numbers. And also from the Apple Podcaster app, if you go down to the bottom of the show, there's a place to give us a nice 5-star rating and perhaps a review. Reviews and ratings help us a lot get our show bumped up in Apple, so it helps us keep growing. I also want to let you know how to reach out to us. If you either want to reach out to one of our guests, we can put you in touch with them, or you can give us feedback directly. You can reach Fig via email at fig@sothereiwas.us or me at repeat@sothereiwas.us. And you can follow us on Facebook at sothereiwas.us/Facebook or on Twitter, sothereiwas.us/Twitter. If you have any other comments, please subscribe and share them at our website, sothereiwas.us. Thank you also to our sponsor, Robin's Bird Brain Designs. She is doing a really cool thing for Christmas this year. If you want a custom gift for somebody to show them you've put a lot of thought and effort into it, get some custom etched slate coasters. You can get your squadron logo on a call sign or some aircraft instruments and a tail number, anything along those lines. Work with Robin at Robin's Bird Brain Designs to get a custom gift done just for you and that person that you want to show that you've spent a lot of time and thought on getting them something special. You can see the link to Robin's Bird Brain Designs on our sponsors page, sothereiwas.us, and then there's a link right at the top for sponsors. We do have a glossary page up on sothereiwas.us, so if we mentioned a term that you didn't hear or didn't understand, I should say, go and look for it there. Special thanks also this week and every week to Dos Gringos. Dos Gringos are letting us use their music for our podcast. These are two former Air Force fighter pilots who started playing guitar together, and it got crazy from there. Look forward to having them on the show here in the very near future. So let me take this opportunity to thank Dave Hamilton over at the Mac Geek Gab podcast, found at macgeekgab.com, for all his support and technical expertise in helping us put this show together. And until next week, everyone, stay safe and check 6.
Hey guys, today Snooze is going to call left on the right foot, and we're going to fuck with Lawman. So,